So, you're thinking about moving to Southwest Florida?
So in this video, we're actually going to talk about what we dislike about living here.
Because we always want to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly, so that you can really make an informed decision about making the right move for you and your family.
So what I want to talk about, for me, the worst thing is the bugs. Maybe this isn't a problem for you. They bite me so bad, I swell so bad, I can't even walk sometimes. I can't even put my foot in my shoe, since the bugs like to climb up and get on my feet. That's mostly where I get bit. So Florida is tropical, it's warm, it's humid, and everything thrives here. So if you don't like bugs, then maybe this is not a place to move, because you're going to be dealing with them winter, summertime, especially in the summertime. Of course, you can use bug spray, and that will help, and you have to cover up sometimes, but that's kind of miserable when it's really hot and you're wearing long sleeves, and I'm kind of a hot-blooded person, so that's not fun for me. So that's something to think about that I really dislike about living here.
So the other thing to talk about is the lack of season change. So we just have beautiful greenery all year round, evergreen, which is wonderful. But if you're super into like the change of seasons and seeing leaves in different colors in the fall and so on, you might just miss that living in Florida. Well, living in Southwest Florida, should I say. Because I must tell you, I went to an area called Crystal River, which is really beautiful. You get to see a lot of manatees and canoe with the manatees and so on. And I did that last year for over Thanksgiving, so at the end of November. And that was further up north, like 2 to 3 hours away from here, from the Naples area. And I actually saw, it looked like fall to me, you know, the leaves on the trees. So maybe that's just more of a southwest area thing where you don't actually have the change of seasons. If that's a big deal to you, maybe you shouldn't move here.
Another thing to think about living here is the flat landscape. I am from the mountains in California and am used to being able to go enjoy the mountains. If you're from the mountains, you know what I'm talking about. Get up real high where it's cooler and look over the valleys. So here, you're just not going to be able to do that. If you want to go on a hike, you're going to go on a flat hike. So not super exciting, but that is a con about living here. You can go up north to Georgia. There's going to be more mountains up there, but that's a ways from Southwest Florida. So if the mountains are a big thing to you, then maybe this is not really the place to move. Of course, the other side of that is you can get into canoeing, jet skiing, fishing. There's other things here that you can do besides just hiking and going to the mountains. But like I said, if you're from the mountains, you know what I'm talking about. I miss some of that, but I am really happy to live here. But that is a con for me.
Another big con that people talk about, and I sounded like they do, is I could never move there because of the humidity. So the humidity is a big problem for some people. I always thought I could never live in humidity. I come from South Africa, from a city called Johannesburg, which is super dry. And then I moved to Colorado, which is actually also very, very dry. And I still thought I couldn't deal with the humidity. You do get used to it. On the upside, you do get used to it. It takes a good year or so. You actually suffer when you leave it and you go to a dry place. I just went to go visit my sister in Holland, and I have never suffered from such dry skin in my life. Maybe I've just become too used to this humidity now. My skin was flaky and everything. I was just craving to come back to Florida. It was crazy. So humidity is of course a nuisance for a lot of people, especially if you have any sort of outdoor job. You've got to really love the humidity to be here.
Another thing to think about moving to Southwest Florida, especially if you're moving here because of the beach, is the red tide. Now, I didn't really know what this was until I moved here. So it's this algae that blooms during certain times of the year. And I just want to preface this with that I'm not the expert, so you really should do more research about this. But when the red tide comes in and you're around it and it's blowing and you're on the beach, it can make you feel kind of sick, like you have a cold, and it smells. Like your eyes will hurt, your throat will hurt. Some people with like asthma problems, it can actually give them breathing problems. So that's something to look into if you're moving here for the beach. In my experience, it's not like it lasts for months and months and you can never go down to the beach, but it might last a couple days, it could last a week. And for example, I had guests recently and the red tide was here and I couldn't take them down to the beach, or I didn't want to, so that was sad. So that's something to think about. Also, on the flip side, I guess what I've heard too is if the wind is blowing towards the ocean and there's red tide, you can actually be on the beach and not really notice it. But when it's really bad, the water actually turns red. So if you're only moving here for the beach, that's something to research more about. The other thing we wanted to talk about is how bad the traffic can be. Now, it's not as bad as Miami, or if you're like me from the West Coast, like LA. But when the winter time comes and what we call in season, that's when the snowbirds come down and stay for the winter time, the traffic can be so bad. And there is only one freeway that goes through Florida, so that can be really bad and really annoying.
Sorry to butt in, but I lived in Johannesburg in South Africa and the traffic was way worse, and it was bad all year round, not just in a few months of season. So I don't know, it's about perspective, I guess. Okay, our final reason to maybe not move to Southwest Florida, if this is a huge concern for you, is, of course, I'm sure you've guessed it, is the threat of hurricanes. Now this was a big deal to me and my family. Most people assured me that it's never a big problem, and it wasn't for them. But we got a big surprise with the last hurricane, Hurricane Ian. Luckily, me and Emily weren't affected at all by it, but there were plenty that were, of course. You've seen the news.
Yeah. The good thing to say about hurricanes, if you can say there's a good thing, is you actually get a lot of notice before they're going to hit. I think with Hurricane Ian, we had like 2 weeks notice, 2.5 weeks of notice, so you can actually leave. The other thing to think about is if you live further inland, you don't have to worry about the storm surge. So especially with this last hurricane, that it was the water that really damaged things. So if you're worried about hurricanes, this might not be the place to go. Although there is a place that you could live, right?
Yes, Babcock Ranch. We've got a whole video on that. Maybe you want to check that one out if you're particularly worried about hurricanes and that's what's preventing you from moving to Southwest Florida.
I know I already mentioned this, but I'm from California where they worry about fires. And when you have fires, they can start at any time and they can ferociously move with the winds and you don't even know what it's going to do. And of course a hurricane can move, but it's not like hurricanes come every week or every other day. So I feel like it's a lot more manageable. And really the truth is that anywhere you live in the world or in the US, there's going to be cons. Hey, I'm Emily and this is Tamara. So if you've seen our other videos, you know that we are realtors here in Southwest Florida. We cover mainly Naples, Bonita Springs, and Estero. So why would we be telling you anything negative about living here?
Well, we want you to make an informed decision. Sometimes we jump into things for the wrong reasons, sometimes even the right reasons, but it's not always the best choice for us without doing the proper research. So when you're deciding to move to a place, you should always look at the pros and the cons, right? The pros have got to outweigh the cons, of course. There's always going to be cons in every place. Right. And sometimes the things that we worry the most about are not even issues, and some of the things we never think about become issues.
And I have something to add to this. If you are financially able to do this, there are some people who come and they live here for a period of time. So what is unique about living here is there are a lot of rentals that are already furnished for the snowbirds who want to stay, you know, between November and April and spend several months and see whether you like it and drive around, you know, and we're happy to take you around. Then you can make the decision yourself. Thanks everybody for watching our video.
Please share it with others and don't forget to like, that's a thumbs up please, and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more of our videos and learn more about living in Southwest Florida, particularly Naples. And we have a lot more videos coming, so look out for them and see you in the next video.
All right,
bye.
Bye.